Hi, everybody. Good to be back on the show. Welcome to Astrology Unplugged. The last promise that I gave you was that we were going to talk about people and strong Neptunes and etc. Just so happens tonight's subject is Neptune. I have a lot to say about it, and that's why we're going to do it. Please let me know if you're having trouble hearing me, because I notice when I listen to the show, my voice is not very loud. Now, let's take a look. I wanted to mention to you, I don't know precisely, but it was about a week ago, and some people are reporting 2 weeks ago. But one of those two times where there was a tremendous, tremendous spike in the planets. A lot of people died. A lot of people had strokes, heart attacks, some good things. But I'm still studying and trying to figure out what caused it. I thought it was Pluto, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to keep studying before I announce it. I'm looking into since I can't put a cancel button on Zoom, I'm looking into some type of message at the top of my website. So when you can't find me, you can go to my website and it will say Astrology Unplugged is canceled with the date. So I'm looking into that. So anyhow, tonight is all about Neptune, and it's because it's the planet that's probably the most important planet we have. It's clearly the planet we know the least about. It's clearly the planet that we fail the most with. And it's clearly the planet that we don't understand how to deal with it. I happen to know a lot about Neptune. It's not saying I can live with it every day, but I understand its influence. Now, there are several sides to it, and I want you to understand that the Neptune in your natal chart is very different than the one that's transiting over you now. And if you'll take a look, you will see in the United States chart, I didn't realize this until today, y'all, but the USA is under a very powerful Neptune transit. I keep hitting the wrong button, see how Neptune works? Okay. And they got all these banners in your way now. It's getting harder to see through. There we go. You'll notice that Neptune at 22 Virgo back in 1776. Well, recently, we just had Neptune opposite Neptune. Neptune went around 186 years old and another 90, which is about where we're at now. Neptune now is at 27, but it's just recently past 22. So Neptune's opposite Neptune. Now it's in the house of philosophy. Now, anytime a planet comes back to itself, or opposes itself, or square to itself, it's a testing on how well that planet is functioning. Now, I happen to understand this planet for a long time before I knew it was a planet. I just been studying Zen type things. Zen stuff, Buddhist stuff is very Neptunian. Why is that? Neptune is about oneness. It's about one God. It's about all of us yielding to that energy. And if we let it go, everything comes up through us. A big word. Everything comes up through us. There's no reason whatsoever to expect negative results. It's not here to cause negative results. Many of us do experience it, and it's because we don't let it through. We don't understand it. We don't ride it. We don't understand what it means, what it wants inside me. That's why we have trouble with it. Neptune will make you feel very dissatisfied with your life, especially especially the Western world, because we're very materialistic. We want more of this. We want more sex. We want more food. We want a better car. We think that our problem is that we don't have those things. So we oftentimes, very often, go have affairs. You wouldn't believe how many natal charts I do. Natal charts where I see Neptune predominant in the person's chart and the father or the mother or both were alcoholics. Unbelievably common. And what is an alcoholic except for somebody's trying to escape? Well, what Neptune's trying to do, it's trying to get you to escape, but that's really a bad word. It's trying to get you to go back home. Come out of your fingers in the soil, come out of your materialism. What does Christ say? Lay not up your treasures where the moths can get, whatever, it's like that. Don't be materialistic because it's not only non-satisfactory, it's going to not fulfill you. The only way that Neptune will fulfill you is if you relax and become rather nothing. And what I mean by nothing is kind of like the smile that you see on Buddha's face, where he's just sitting there at the base of the tree and he's very content. So I don't want you to get nothing compared with that incorrectly. Nothing means that you're not holding on anywhere. You're not holding on to your money, your good-looking babe, your country club membership, your looks. You're not holding anywhere. You're just floating in a state of pure being. This is why people go gaga when they see a new baby.
Hmm.
He's so beautiful. It's not, of course, the child's beautiful, but it reminds you of that state inside you, where you're just pure being without judgment, without hanging on, till we teach them this is my rattle, not your rattle. This is my rattle. Then they start getting programmed. At the meantime, we're going to be seeing natal planets with Neptune. We're going to see transiting planets. At this meantime, I told you guys about 20 years ago, I warned you about 2018 in the GOP's chart. I gave you a 20-year heads up. And I mean you, the public. This is the GOP's chart. Okay, you'll notice that I told you way long ago, and then Neptune finally got to 15 degrees here about 5 years ago, right opposite Neptune. Okay? When a planet becomes in opposition to itself, it questions what it is. How are we doing with this cycle? When you work with any cycle, the moon, the sun, Mars, Pluto, the cycle starts over at the conjunction or the new moon. Then it gets to its opening square, where it opens up, and depending on the cycle, it's 1/4 of the way through its cycle. And there's usually a crisis there. That's why in your job, your crisis at 9 months. And in marriage, the crisis at 7 years, worth 1/4 of 1/4 of Saturn. Then Saturn gets to 14, or a kid gets to 14, junior high, or whatever it is gets to 14, there's another crisis. The reason a crisis happens is internally, we have to keep testing ourselves. We have to keep going down the basement and shaking those beams. You can't just build a house and go live in it. Every once in a while, you got to go down and how's things looking? or sometimes you find out through engineers. They go, "Oh, you're getting some big cracks there." So the opening square is a big deal. The opposing square is a big deal. The closing square is a big deal too. Then finally it returns. Well, when it returns, the entity, whether it's your job, your political party, your car, your marriage, your child, your pet alligator, whatever it is, you're going to have a crisis that follows along suit with the nature of that planet. Okay? So if it's Neptune, do you think the USA is going through a spiritual crisis now? Uh-huh. Do you think the GOP has been washed up and is done with their spiritual crisis? Uh-huh. The other the other antidote to a Neptune solution is more smoke and mirrors. Keep feeding them stuff. Keep feeding them stuff. Keep lying. They're stupid. They won't believe us. We'll say it's the Russians. We'll say it's the Chinese. We'll say it's the Democrats. And we just get this going. We don't want people to look at the problem. Well, the typical heart of a Neptune transit is to fall at your knees, crying to the Lord, I have sinned. If you don't like that word, I have messed up. Please help me. And you've seen that story of comeuppance and that story of redemption in so many movies and books. That's what the return is for. I've been off base. And the story is not to punish you because you have been. The story is to, okay, and you cry great tears of your sorry, your sorrow for having been off course. And please, whatever I gotta do to get me back on track. Now, do you see the GOP doing that? Do you see
What is GOP?
the grand old party? That is the same as the calling the Republicans.
Oh,
Grand old party. I'm glad you asked me. Do you see them saying we have become emotionally bankrupt? We have been filling you with smoke and mirror and lies. We're now going to straighten up our direction. It's not going to happen.
yeah.
It's not going to happen. We had our chance to. Now, when you don't, when you have a Neptune return and you fail, and then you don't go through the crying and the redemption and the self-correcting, of course, what do you think happens? When you find somebody lost in the woods, you don't run up to them and put a black mask across their eyes. That's in effect what they're doing. So what happens is you become unreal. You become not real. So then I looked into GOP's chart because I predicted all this for 2018. Then I looked into GOP's chart for 2 years ago, and the GOP has a Uranus return. Same time. They all go at different rates. Uranus every 84 years. So now you have seen the GOP in 2018. If you suspect any of your microphones, then you could mute because somebody is getting us. Hold on, please. Some feedback. Hold on. I think I know where it is. Okay. The planets are exquisite. they're beautiful, and they're very benefic. They're trying to help you out, even Eris. That's saying a lot. So when the Neptune return happened to the Republican Party, there was this small little squeaky voice in the corner saying, let's get on track. Let's get on track. Let's start to love people. Let's start to give our big money to the poor people. That didn't happen. Let's start to share. It didn't happen. So what happened to the GOP? You watched it. I watched it day by day because I've been waiting for it for years. What happened is they dissolved like the Wicked Witch into a puddle. That's what happened. And you're never going to bounce back from it, ever. So then you pile on top of it a Uranus return. Well, an entity has to be strong to withstand a Uranus return. Uranus returns are very powerful to test whether you're being individuated. Are you really an individual? Can you handle this? Are you making unique contributions to the world? And I'll say this for the 17th time. I've asked people the past 10 years to name me one one, one good thing that the GOP has done for the country in the last 10 years. I have not gotten an answer yet, except for they've gone along with stamping the approval to keep the government running another 6 months because they've had to. They're doing nothing for the people. So then I look, and the Democrats, or the US chart, got a Neptune return. Now, as a country, as the Democrat, oh, that one's as the country. What that means is we all know that the answer is to stop and put ourselves in God's hands. And don't want to sound like an evangelist, but it's just the truth, even if you call it nature's hands, natural hands, I don't care what you call it, universe's hands, where like the American Indian, everybody's living for each other in a tribe. So that's one of the big things that's going on. Now, one of the reasons that Neptune is so important, Neptune is a part of you that you may not even notice because it's very subtle. It's very hard to keep your finger on it unless you are trained to. Neptune is a very little, quiet little cloud that floats by. And you might not even notice it. Neptune is the part of us that's connected directly to the Holy Spirit. Neptune is the part that every time you ask it a question, it answers you with a quiet yes. A quiet yes. If it's a screaming, yelling answer, that's the ego. If it's quiet and affirming and makes you feel good, that's Neptune. Because Neptune wants to draw you to inclusivity, to loving everybody, towards all boundaries coming down, towards your arms spread wide open to everybody. I mean, if you could boil down everything Christ said to one word, a real good word you could have used was Neptune. When he's up in front of the people going like this, it's kind of symbolic of, I need fish, here's the fish. I need wine, here's the wine. It's plentiful, whatever you need. So, when this planet hits you, then we're going to go into natal charts. When this planet hits you, it's very, very confusing. A lot of people have affairs. A lot of people start stealing. A lot of people get into murder. Neptune's unbelievably present during grave crime. It is, because it's another form of escape. But remember, Neptune's trying to get you to escape from, but not what we think. Not what we think the old lady or from the job. Neptune's trying to get you to escape from your ill-gotten direction towards more stuff. More stuff in my life, which is not going to win for you. By the way, you'll find this amazing but amusing. When Neptune hits you, you will move by water. You'll either take a canoe ride, you'll go move to a house on the lake, you'll go on a trip across the sea. Neptune will take you near water always, even a house by a creek. Almost always happens because Neptune is symbolic of spirit. So, if you are in touch with Neptune, these are the people that say, "Hi, Chuck."
Good
These are
evening.
these are the people that say, "I've had it all. I want to go off grid." Off grid is Neptune, unless it's Uranian off grid and you're just crazy. Linda, would you agree with that? Well, there's a fine line, right? But anyhow, Neptune is I'm going to go and live my life because I believe you when you said that you would take care of me. I could end the show right there.
Wow.
That's what Neptune says. And it's true. But one of our huge problems, especially being a Cancer country or a Capricorn country, we do not trust. Oh, yeah, I heard that before. I still got bills on the table. Oh, where am I going to get that from? This kind of snide remark. But we all know, everybody sitting here, we all know that when we let go, things work out. We all know that when we sit next to somebody who's handling Neptune pleasantly, how pleasant it is to be next to them. We all know how unpleasant it is to sit next to somebody that has no faith. And you're going like, it's just natural. So that's what Neptune does. Now, in your real life, it starts to make you feel funny. It could be a year away from your planet. It could be a couple months away, depending how sensitive you are. You certainly start to feel when it's a month away from hitting one of your planets. You'll start to feel dissatisfied. You'll start to feel like you don't want to go to work. Here's another intriguing thing that I noticed very clearly, and you should all be seeing this now. In the general charts of where the planets are now, okay. Okay, in the doggone it, there we go. In the regular planet of where the planets are now, you'll notice how in the past several years, in the past 10, 15 years, Neptune has been going through this area. That's where Neptune has been. And the Pisces people got a real dose of it. But did you notice that during all those years, it was opposing Virgo? And since all my clients are Virgo, and you can ask Linda because I'm sure she gets a lot of them too. Virgo started to chill out. Virgo is the one sign that needs to chill out. What does that mean? Doesn't mean bitchy and stuff. It just means get hyper because the dishes aren't done or because the carpet hasn't been swept and you got to pay that bill. And Neptune or Virgo will just drive you nuts. It drives you nuts with separateness. The extreme of the zodiac is Virgo Pisces. Virgo is this thing is different, that thing's different. This one's got a baby finger that's that long. This one's got this, that. And the Neptune Pisces person said, oh boy, she was a nice person. Boy, she was a real nice person. And you don't have to say anything to them. And you'll start to listen. And mostly it's the women. They're starting to report back over the last 15 years, report back to me. I was starting to feel quieter. I'm getting up earlier. I'm doing my meditation. Of course, it's on my rigid scale, my rigid menu of the day. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do meditation from 9:05 to 9:20. Yeah, at least meditation. But you start to see them starting to chill out. Now, how you experience this is I start to feel that it's okay to take a walk in my garden. It's okay not to fight back. It's okay to not be loudly critical. This Neptune inside them, as it opposed all that Virgo, started to mellow these people out. And it's because they've got a Neptune connection too. Unfortunately, their Virgo connection is usually stronger. So that's what happens when it's on you through transit. And we've seen a lot of Virgos. And I wrote articles about this, about how the Neptune women are doing so well. It doesn't happen so much with the men because the men are so identified with working and get that W-2 slip and be the best worker and the best carpenter you can be. Get every nail driven in perfectly straight. Okay. It's going to start to fade now because Neptune is finally leaving Pisces. It will no longer oppose Virgo for quite a while. And then what's it going to do? It's going to go into Aries and it's going to start affecting the Libra people. Now that's going to be intriguing because the Libra people are going to get about 15, 16, 17 years of Neptune opposite, and you're going to start them wanting to have more spiritual calmness and interplay with their spiritual partner instead of a typical Libra who wants the partner who's going to take them somewhere to the upper floors of the country club. Okay? Just how it goes. Now, when you have a birth chart and Neptune is with you, it's very, very tricky. First of all, like a conjunction, first of all, you don't want any conjunctions too close. I got Mars, Neptune, same degree. Same degree. My Mars has no voice because Neptune is always saying you can't do anything for yourself. You got to do it for everybody. Mars says, I want to do it for myself. Neptune says, no, I'm not going to do it for everybody. So that fight can be very consuming and it can be very emasculating because you need to have a strong Mars, you Aries people. Everybody needs to have a strong Mars. At least you know how to go to the store and get the food you want and come back. That's very Martian. Now, when Neptune is on you, it's very confusing because Neptune is really full of it. Neptune is a really terrible coach when it's trying to coach you on how to get through this incarnation because it just lies to you all the time. It's full of it. Neptune is that cat, that cat that goes out in the yard and he's hiding behind a twig. And he thinks you can't see it because it can't see you. Yeah, that's the Neptune. He said, nobody will see you there. Yeah, you can have an affair. Have three of them. She'll never know. She knows about all three of them. So Neptune is known for delusions. It's known for delusions. I told you this before, that it's become my standard now. I even did this with Chuck one day. Chuck was a strong client of mine. I've been watching Chuck for years. We've been going through his chart well. And then he went into a couple of years of Neptune hitting something. I said, Chuck, John, you're out. I said, call me back in 2 years. I don't want to deal with your chart for the next 2 years because I could give him some good hunches, but it was something he had to work through. He had to work through this element in his life in terms of spiritualizing it. I think it had to do with raising his kids. I said, I just don't want to get involved. You've got to take your spiritual values and apply it towards how you raise your kids. And I'll be glad to talk to you in 2 years after it passes. Plus, it's really not fair to put your Neptune karma onto your astrologer because he or she didn't do anything. And you really have to, when Neptune is there, it's just really simple. It's just really simple. You take all your clothes off and you are naked before the other person spiritually.
Oh,
You just are your pure self. What happened, Renata?
oh, I don't know. I have something in my eye and I cannot get it out.
Can you go to the bathroom and drip some water in there?
Yeah, I think I have to do that.
Drip some water and blink.
I tried it already with eye drops, but it didn't work.
Tilt
Okay,
your head,
I'm back.
tilt your head back and let it flow right through your eye onto the towel. Good luck. Now, which eye was it? Her right eye. Her right eye, that's her moon. Her right eye is her moon. Something's happening to her moon. So, when Chuck came back after a couple of years, Chuck reported to me how he dealt with the women, the girls. Everything was satisfactory, but Chuck had worked through it, not because this is what he should do, not because what the astrologer did. He worked through it from his own Neptune, and Chuck's got a T-square to Neptune. He's a very loving man, and I knew he would work through it. And then I felt it was time to resume our normal practice. Okay, now, for instance, some people that have Mars opposite Neptune, like we see very strongly across the zodiac with um, Erica, Mars, Neptune right across the ascendant. Well, you're not going to get by turning the Mars off. You sure ain't going to get by turning the Neptune off. So you have to blend them. Now, Neptune is very wise and old, and Mars is just a little baby making a bunch of noise. I want it now. So the Neptune has to use a lot of patience to let the Mars scream and cry and understand and treat it very much like a child. And then says, my turn now, and then I'll give us some guidance and keep the Mars busy. You have to keep them kind of balanced. And they can be because the Mars has a very charming side. It's a very loving, innocent sign, symbol. And so is Neptune. Where you get into your weird stuff is when you have like Jupiter square Neptune. And now you're getting into boy, Jupiter and Neptune. You got to think about both of them. Both of them have quite a reputation for being deluded. Both of them have a reputation for being very cause oriented and loving everybody. But if you want to see people that are off the wall that lead towards megalomania, I'm here because God told me. He chose me and chose you. He chose me. Now we're talking about Jupiter, Neptune. where you can get real twisted. And you'll see this in a lot of charts of the deluded uh, national leaders because they feel such a oneness, they feel such a being selected, the chosen few, but the ego is way, way, way too much involved, and they're not able to blend it like the Jupiter Neptune trine people are, or the Jupiter Neptune conjunction people are. They can be very, very strong, good samples of somebody who has a very nice mixture. Because the Jupiter in you wants to expand. How does it expand? How does it reach out? Any better? You feel any better? Any better?
Better, yeah.
Yeah, good. Um, let's take another example. Let's take an example of Mercury square Neptune. You have to stop and think, what are the planets involved? Mercury square Neptune. Well, people with Mercury square Neptune or Mercury opposite Neptune have a tendency to be half-baked mentally. Half-baked mentally. Okay? They're kind of cuckoo, but they can also be brilliant. They can be brilliant artists. They can come up with stuff. Where'd you get that from? Anytime somebody says, where'd you get that from? It's always an outer planet.
Neptune. That's
What?
right.
It's always an outer planet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody comes up with something that comes from out of nowhere, it's always an outer planet. Now, whether it's coming to them smoothly or crooked or fuzzy, that's a different story. But when you see your Bob Dylan geniuses, when you see these poets that it just rolls off their tongue, that's an aspect out to Neptune. That's how it happens. Because that Mercury is being allowed to act like Mercury, to think and to analyze. And at the same time, it opens the door and then pours all this Neptune influence. But it can handle it. The Mercury can handle it. That's the difference. Go looking up your geniuses, your Einsteins. They're not just sitting there. Go look them up and you'll see this stuff. So when you have the square, you more commonly have somebody who thinks they're brilliant. They get brilliant ideas, but they're usually self-deluded. And sometimes they're right. Most of the time they're wrong. And it's just not thought through. Hey, would you lend me 5,000 for this new business venture of mine, Chuck? Chuck, don't do it. Don't do it. Now, when you get to the outer planets, it's much tougher because they don't have as much of a personal effect, like Pluto square Neptune or Neptune square Uranus. The outer planets, when they get messed up in squares, etc., they just don't have, they'll possibly affect your sub generation. Boy, that class was kind of out of it. Class of 79, the class of 80, they were kind of out of it. But even then, you don't see the personal aberration that you do when you see the close planets involved, like the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars. So if Neptune is in your life, you're going to start to feel lifted up. You're going to start feeling pulled away from. You're going to want to pull away from the worldliness, worrying about money less, worrying about roommates less, worrying about making your happiness outside of yourself less. If you're starting to feel this, go check your chart, put your finger on Neptune, and go across, see if you have any natal positions, and go to a right angle. That's how you do it. Neptune moves very slowly, so it's not hard to figure out. Um,
That's interesting.
Now, some other things that I noticed here. Do you know that when I've watched Neptune hit things specifically, boy, it's so tragic with a lot of people. It really is tragic with a lot of people. And that's because they got the Neptune door closed. No one's up there trying to make plans to get you. You got the door closed. Spiritual opportunity is here. Door closed.
Yeah.
One of the only times I've ever seen it be very positive is when it hit the Dalai Lama exactly, and he got the Nobel Prize for Peace.
Oh,
But what do you think the Dalai Lama had been doing since his childhood until that date when that happened? Loving, loving, opening, accepting. That's why he got it.
oh,
If you're married to somebody and they're under a Neptune transit, keep your eyes open and looking around the corners. Look around the corners, okay? Now, one of the common places in marriage is you're going through a Neptune planet, and maybe your partner is, or maybe they're not. And when one person starts to go on the Neptune tributary, if the other one goes with them, that's just marvelous. That can be really, really good to learn together. Because what happens, you start to get disillusioned in so many things that you thought were real and you thought were so satisfying for so long. I've seen families where, matter of fact, I just watched the guy die last week, friend of mine, married to this wonderful woman. And he was a great guy, but he was very much into acquiring businesses and business. And they just drifted apart, eventually separated. He got really, really, really sick. He suffered with cancer for at least 5, 6, 7 years. But before that was over, he started to see it. Neptune was coming over one of his planets in the first house, and I saw it. And she had already been through big Neptune. She understood it. She had big crisis, and now since then she's gotten on board with Neptune. So she started a more beautiful, enriched life. Well, a couple of years before he died, he started getting on board with her. They got back together. They started loving each other. They started having their own lessons together. His particular kind of cancer got worse and worse, and he gently just faded about a week ago. And she was not torn up because the work they did. Now, I want to tell you something straight. He and she were brought together by Neptune. That's why it happened. Didn't have to result like that. He could have just said, take your junk and get out of here. But he was smart. He was smart. She got through to him. Her love had gotten through to him. When people come to you, don't be conned into thinking that it's a person coming to you. It's not a person coming to you. I got Pluto coming to me, and Linda Sprague calls me. I'm, yes, ma'am, yes, Miss Pluto. And she's going to tell me some Pluto stories that I need to hear. You know, when Chuck calls me, He's my son talking. I'm going to need to hear about my son and what am I doing with my creative energies. People always, when Mars comes to me, it's going to be Diane. See, you're so hung up on being a self that you think is a self that you're missing a lot of the tricks. So people say, well, what would be the best sign for me? How about a stop sign? Many, 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 many times the person coming to you is a personification of that planet's energy. Now you look out beyond these planets, and then what do you see out there floating in the distance? You see Pluto and Eris. And Pluto and Eris are the two stories of this century. They're the butt kickers. And they are here to prepare us for tough roads ahead. They're here to prepare us for hard questions. So we know the US is going through Neptune. The GOP is going through Neptune and Uranus. And I would think on the individual level, an awful lot of us are going through Pluto times. What have we talked about week after week after week? The Pluto times are when you realize sweeping changes are necessary. I can't keep putting up with the old, and we're all getting quite a taste of Neptune. The Neptune is telling us these old religious ways aren't working. Maybe my priest meant well, or maybe this sister meant well, but are we really getting creative, clear direction for us? So that's why everything's up in the air now. So I'm going to stop this portion of the show and open it up to you. You can talk about anything you want to, but especially anything that you've experienced with Neptune in your life, with Neptune just left, Neptune's on you, Neptune is approaching, what you've seen Neptune do with family members. I'm here to help you. I will say one thing to you first. When Neptune is on you, it's going to be weird. That's okay. Let it be weird. Doesn't have to be real weird for a long time. Let it be weird. It's not going to agree with anything your friends are saying. It's going to agree with the part of you that is saying, let down your defensive and love people. That's the only part of you that it's going to agree with. So I think since we're getting such a nice smile from this, I think we'll go start by picking on Linda Sprague. She knew it was coming. So Linda, my dear, what do you do with your Neptune clients?
Oh, I wasn't thinking about my clients. I was thinking about myself.
Well, tell me about you.
Well, I have Venus conjunct Neptune, and I'm getting ready for Neptune to cruise into Aries and oppose my Venus. And when you said let down your defenses and love people, that's extremely hard when you're mad at somebody or you disagree or whatever. Right now, Neptune has
I'm
been
sorry.
squaring
You
Mars.
said that Neptune is going to come into opposition to your Venus,
Yeah,
which is in what sign?
Libra.
Oh, this will be the true romantic coming out of you.
I don't know. Well, probably it has to do with my writing. But I will say,
Yeah.
when you said it will be weird, I have Venus conjunct Neptune. My,
Wait a minute. You got a conjunct and now it's getting the opposite.
yeah,
So it's conjunct and now it's halfway around.
yeah,
Okay, so that's going to really test how well all your life your Venus has been accepting the higher lessons of Neptune.
yes.
She looks scared to death.
Yeah.
Come
Well,
on.
I've been working
Yeah,
on it. I've been working on it.
I'm sure you are.
No, I think I have. I mean, I just, think it's so true when you say, use the word weird for it, and that, you know, your family and your friends will never understand. It's like, yeah, I get that. I've had such strange experiences with,
Let's stop there. I'm planning on spending a lot of time with you here. What do you mean the family doesn't understand the new you who does what?
I mean, family, friends, if they hold like a traditional something, they're not going to understand Venus Neptune experiences.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I meant. Is that you said there it's weird, like a Neptune Venus Neptune transit will be quote weird. Well, living with Venus Neptune my entire life, it's been weird, very different than, the mainstream.
I
So
will say on the
I
side,
like it.
for those of you that have not heard, the reason Neptune makes it weird is everything about the Venus Neptune becomes unbounded. Out of
Yeah.
nowhere, you didn't realize you had all these boundaries around all your relationships, and all of a sudden, your relationships just become, hey, open the door, let everybody in. People say, "What the heck is she doing?"
I belong to the world. What can I say? No, years ago, I was probably like 40 or something, and I had this idea to do a video of just myself. I mean, not because of me, but just saying the names of everybody I knew. Even at that point in my life, it was just so enormous. And, some of those people I don't know anymore. But wherever I go, that's what happens. It's like you have your family, your close friends, and then you have all these people. It's like it is kind of like that there's no boundary. Now, it's not
That's
necessarily
exactly right.
a
Yeah,
bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but sometimes I have to really work hard to
it
put
can
it
be
down
confusing. Yeah,
because I now at 80 years old, it's too tiring. I
yeah,
can't do it for everyone.
yeah,
I can
no.
do it in spirit, but I can't do it physically. I can't embrace all of that. So,
Well, you got to remember, everybody, that when we talk about Neptune, Neptune is the ruling planet of Pisces.
yeah.
So when you talk about the two, they're very similar, but yet they're different because one's a planet, one's a sign.
Right.
And I really triggered on what she said. She said, uh, I belong to the world. And Ram Dass told his dad, Ram Dass was the Pisces, his father was the Aries, and Ram Dass was telling his dad about giving a lot of his money to the poor people. And his dad said, well, you can't do that. They're not your family. And Ram Dass said, Dad, my problem is they're all my family. And so I was thinking about a friend of mine named Jill back in college. This was the float along the feather type, the leaves. This was the Pisces of Pisces. Ooh, young lady, 19 years of age. So she came over to my apartment once. You may have heard this. She came over to make me spaghetti dinner. DiClemente? The answer is yes. I'll take spaghetti. So she's the Pisces of Pisces. I mean, but loveliest thing in the world. Just in love with everybody. Just knew no differences. She didn't know any differences. Yeah, she got a lot of trouble. So she comes, Chuck is true story. So she comes to my apartment and she puts the spaghetti water on to boil. And she comes in the living room and says, do you mind if I step outside and have a cigarette? I said, no. So she stepped outside for a cigarette, and I saw her 3 months later.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to ask her. She ran into somebody. She floated away on another leaf. I turned the water off. That was it. That's a very typical Pisces story. She was tripping, Erica. she was tripping on real life. Go ahead, Linda.
Oh, I'm done.
Well, I want to hear a little bit, please, about some of your um, attitudes. You work with, she works with a lot of astrology clients.
Hmm.
And you're a Scorpio, so you're very smart. What do you use? What do you got up your sleeve when you're dealing with Pisces clients, Neptune
Well,
clients?
I think the most fascinating axis is Virgo Pisces. So I enjoy working with those people a lot because I love talking about Virgo being like this like discerning energy of like nitpicking, discerning. And I said, and then you go to Pisces and it's just a friggin' mess. It's just a mess. And so they're constantly working with that. And the Pisces part is so unconscious if it's connected with the Virgo. The Virgo wants to be so like, I know everything, I've got it figured out. And they come out, the Pisces comes out and they don't even realize what they're doing, saying, thinking, because it's a mess.
Yes, when you all hear from your Pisces friends and they're describing something to you, give them lots and lots of rope,
Mhm.
not to hang themselves,
Yes.
just to keep them alive. Just give
Right.
them lots of line, because they're going to start telling you ooh stories.
Yeah.
Ooh. And then once
That's
in a while,
true. Oh gosh, that's so true. Oh,
they'll stop and give you a zinger, and they'll tell you where that person's at, and they're exactly right. So don't be fooled by Pisces. They'll stop now and then and hit you with something that's so accurate
yeah.
that you can't believe.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to let you know, in case you didn't know, this book, The Exquisite Zodiac, the original working title of that book
I need to get that.
was to be Pisces, the ultimate sign. And I didn't feel that this title would be understood correctly,
Right.
so I renamed it. Okay, very good. Thank you. Uh,
Thank you.
thank you, Linda. Anybody else got comments on the Nep? Yes, and yes, Jane.
I don't know my chart like you, most of you, I imagine, because I'm still learning. But all I can say is that, or is basically ask if this must be Neptune, I think, because you were saying earlier, Rick, that everything can come at you, and I feel like I've got past stuff coming up. I've got stuff to do with other people and work, and it feels like I'm being bombarded and I'm not coping in my way of. I say not coping in the sense that I feel in complete overwhelm with going, because I want to try and work out what do I need to do
Okay,
to
let's
chill
stop.
out.
Let's stop right there. We have to learn to listen. When you are saying words like bombarded, that is not Neptune. Bombarded are words for Pluto and Eris. Being overwhelmed is not a Neptune word.
Okay.
Did you ever see a stage play where they start pumping smoke on the stage?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just real quietly and real subtly, they just start putting this little bit of smoke around you, and it's gathering steam. That's what happens during Neptune transit, you know? And then you start to wonder how it happened. A real good example of this, I'm going to just be daring and tell you this. When the whites of America in the past 10, 15 years popped their head up and said, how did all these Mexicans get here? That's a Neptune transit. The answer,
Okay.
the answer was because the Republicans were letting them in for cheap labor. The Democrats were letting them in on purpose for votes. And then
Mm.
they all acted like they didn't see anything happen. And next thing you know, we're inundated with this issue now. So let's go back to your chart. That's how Neptune works quietly, almost sneakily. Is that a word?
And yeah, I suppose I feel that because I feel like this underlying beautiful calm in there, even though I feel that because I can I can settle myself with the mantra of let go, let God, let go, let love. I can sort of settle myself, but it's but there is a sense like I feel like there's a deep um I suppose a spiritual or just a beautiful connection with God that I just keep
Okay,
calling
let's
love.
look deeper in your chart because you're right, it is. I got so many screens open, I don't know what to do here. Okay, here's your chart. All right, let's take a look at Jane. You
Okay.
don't have to do very much. Start with Pluto. Pluto is about right here right now. Okay? It
Yep.
moves very slowly. You're only really required to watch Pluto and Neptune and Uranus and Saturn. I mean, the other planets, yes. And then we're watching Eris, and Eris ain't going anywhere. It's just sitting. Eris is just sitting right here. Okay, so
Mm.
you watch Pluto, and Pluto is opposing Uranus now. It is almost exactly opposite your Uranus. And what is that doing? Pluto hitting your Uranus in the sixth house is asking you, are you doing what you want? Are you being the real creative Aries that you are meant to be?
Mm.
And you are considering shifting your career direction to match who you really are. That's where that's coming from. Okay.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
so
can be,
true.
and that can be very intense. Okay, so you got an exact one right there. Then you got
Yep.
Neptune, and Neptune is right about here. Neptune is opposite Virgo, Jupiter and Virgo. So we're seeing that, what I just told you. Jupiter and Virgo pickiness in you is starting to subside, starting to let go. I got in
Yeah.
the car
Yeah.
and I didn't bring my hand back. Well, it's not the end of the world. We got a credit card, right? So you see
Yes.
a loosening up of the uptightness in you. At the same time, you see a lot of self-discovery going on to release your individuality. Then we go
Yes.
to Uranus. Uranus is about 20 degrees of Taurus. It's not ending anything. It's not ending anything this way. Then you got Saturn at 10, 11 of Pisces here, opposite here, here. So the big things going on is the Pluto's hitting the Uranus and the Neptune is hitting the Jupiter.
Okay.
Those are the two things. Okay, other questions, anybody?
Thank you.
You're welcome. I got a hand by Susan.
So if Neptune is approaching a square with the moon,
Hmm.
transiting Neptune, but it's 2 degrees off.
Hold on, please. Hold on, please.
Hi.
Okay.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Um, okay, let's talk about what you were just inquiring about. Let me get I got so many screens open, it's really difficult.
So Neptune is what, 26
Hold on,
Pisces?
please. Hold on, please. I just get so many wheels open, it's hard to get it straight. Okay. All right, here you go. Okay. Okay, Neptune is where?
Currently Neptune would be
This
about
is
20,
the outer screen is current planets. Neptune's
right?
27,
Okay,
the moon is
yeah,
28.
right.
Okay.
So
First
How
of all,
exact,
first of all, go ahead.
how exact does it have to be?
It doesn't have to be real exact. It's getting closer all the time. Okay. So you have a natal new moon, a natal full moon, sun and moon. All right. Since they
Right,
are in a 18 and 28 position, you got to find the midpoint of those two. And the midpoint is 10 degrees. It's 10 degrees off. So add 5 degrees to this and you get 23. So you see recently, about a month or two ago, Neptune was at 23 and it was opposing the midpoint of the sun and the moon. Okay? Now it's on its way. You may as well consider it done. It's right there right now. All right. The difficulty with ascertaining with what this means is you got the sun immutable, you got the moon immutable, and you got the transiting Neptune immutable.
okay,
You're getting mutable, mutable, mutable. So it's not funny if you're getting spread too thin and
okay,
covered with water all around you. Water's all around you. What
right,
does that mean, water's all around you? It means you're being covered with spirit. The spiritual side of you doesn't want to keep traveling per se. It wants you to discover the spiritual path inward in you and in others.
right,
Now, the fact that Neptune is hitting your moon, it's hitting from the bottom. So when you put your moon over here, it's hitting from the top. So what's happening now is your life is becoming inundated with Neptunian vibrations, which is different than the sun and moon in Sag. I want to go travel. I want to go play. I want to go draw. I want to go do that. Neptune's voice is very different. Neptune doesn't care at all if you play. Neptune wants you to be enriched emotionally.
right,
That's why in the last month I've talked to you, you've gone from this different kind of episodes with you drawing and all these kind of fun things. Fun is Sagittarius. We don't need that long word anymore in the zodiac. Sagittarius. All we need is FUN. That's what that word means. But Neptune's there. Neptune is not concerned about you having fun. I mean, Neptune is happy if you have fun, but Neptune wants you to have universal love.
right.
So tell me what it feels like to you.
Um, well, I mean, this is a period of time in which I'm hitting all these metaphysical shows.
That's right.
And also, I have made the decision to get rid of some of my art supplies and focus on watercolor.
Okay,
So the
now what I would like for you to do is stop talking about stuff around you, things. Tell me what's happening to you with your love center.
I feel like I'm connecting more to people on a heart-to-heart basis.
Exactly.
Because with mediumship, it was all about evidence. But with tuning into people's angels and guides, it is a heart-to-heart connection. It's different. I mean, that's the new kind of readings that I'm doing. And then art combines with it.
Okay, well, that's exactly what's happening. Because I will tell you, it is a surprising factor as an astrologer to see how much Sagittarians are obsessed with fun.
Right.
Almost all Sagittarians obsessed. Honey, I just got back from the doctor. Was it fun?
Uh-huh.
It wasn't fun. Wasn't fun. Did you go buy some celery? It was fun. It was just a piece of celery.
Right.
But you have to understand and honor. You have to honor these people's sun signs proclivities. And inside the word fun, you can unpack that word, and it means a lot of really good things.
Yeah.
A lot of really great things about Sag. But when Neptune takes over, Neptune is insulted by fun. It's insulted by it. It thinks you're taking things too lightly. Neptune is very, right, Linda?
Yes.
Neptune wants you to be reverent.
Yes.
You don't have to be on your knees at the altar like a good Capricorn or Scorpio, but it wants you to stop being Bette Midler for a while and start to find the refined. So what you will see, Neptune's got one word around it. Neptune is about refinement.
Oh,
Refined colors, refined clothes, refined pastels, refined dogs, refined people, refined relationships. That's what it's trying to take you to. And your level of fun will still be fun. It'll just be more refined. Who was
Right.
it that had the next question?
Me?
Renata, yeah. Was,
Yeah, Neptune is on my Jupiter Venus conjunct at the moment.
hold on, please. Hold on, please. Let's get Renata here. Boy, that could be really good. Um, uh, okay. Okay, now what were you saying?
Neptune is conjuncting my Jupiter Venus conjunct in Pisces.
ooh.
Neptune is right here.
Neptune is right on
Right here.
Jupiter in Pisces.
Is
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I just can
okay,
say,
Neptune is here. Neptune
yeah,
is on the Jupiter from Venus.
yeah,
The Jupiter has been all your life under the influence of Neptune.
yeah.
So you're getting the Neptune opposite Neptune and the Jupiter Venus at the same time. And they're in Pisces and they're entering the eighth house. Well, what does that tell you?
Oh, I just can say I'm opening up. I'm opening up for everything, for love, love, love. I I'm in groups at the moment and I just feel endless love.
That's exactly
Oh,
right. That's
it's so
exact.
beautiful. And I have wonderful meditations again. I close my eyes and it just, I feel presence, presence.
You are getting direct
Wow.
communication from God.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And
That
I'm
is
giggling all along. It's a giggle of joy comes up from
yeah,
inside.
good.
It's unbelievable.
Well, I believe you completely. This is not the Renate of 3 months ago, nor is
No,
it the Renate of a month ago. You are experiencing it. You're experiencing it clearly. One of the
yeah.
reasons you're getting it so strong is because your natal Jupiter, Neptune, Venus is used to being there, but it's used to being hassled all the time by all these other things. Now it's coming along. It's kind of like, hey, lady, would you like your oil tank filled back up? And the tanks are outside, shh, just filling that part of you back up. And now you can see it clearly. And when you can see it clearly, it's overwhelming the rather lighthearted Gemini stuff. Gemini stuff doesn't understand this deep-hearted, reverent stuff. But with the whole new flushing of Neptune coming your way, it's a wonderful thing. And it's also a time for you to change the machine.
I know.
When the Mercury gets hit, it's time to draw out all the old software and put in new. And that's a big deal. And that's not always done by an amateur. You may need some pros. Like you said, you're getting in these groups. There's probably somebody in that group that's a real expert at this that will help you. And it's not that you wasted your time. You did what you could at that time. And now it's time to take out those old chips and say, thank you very much for getting me this. But now it's time for a new, deeper you at being the age of 80.
Yeah, it's amazing. It talks through me. I really, I hear myself saying things astrological. It's, oh, what am I saying? Or I just said, I'm opening up to something bigger than myself. And
You're saying it beautifully, and we should all clap for you.
yeah, it feels so unbelievable rich, it's wow.
Let me
It's
tell you
wow.
one thing, Renate. It is very real.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very real what's happening.
It's a happiness that has nothing to do with outside things. It's a
Bye,
happiness
Linda,
coming
Greg.
from inside.
Well, I work real hard to make sure you understand. And this is just really tremendous news for you. And also, through the past several months, I knew you were going through a lot, and I wasn't sure where you would end up, but you were being very brave and you stuck to it. And a lot of times you didn't understand it, but that was a real uh, testament to you, the power of your Neptune innerly inside your natal chart. So your inside natal Neptune has a lot to do with this. This is not just the Neptune. This is Neptune opposite Neptune, and this is showing you that you're going to be reflecting back on all your life. Where are times I took a shortcut? Where are times when I could have had more if I'd have aimed higher? Where are times when I thought I was deluded, but I wasn't? All those issues will come to the surface.
Everything is coming up at the
Yeah.
moment. Lots of stuff. Lots of stuff.
Not what?
Lots, lot, a lot of stuff is coming up.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't be doing better. You couldn't be doing better because this transit could knock you for a loop if it wanted to. It could have knocked you for a loop, and one of the most common things it does is turn to the bottle.
No, my body doesn't take alcohol, not even a glass of wine any longer. Skip
You're
it.
you're getting refined. You're getting purified. Well, okay, everybody. I think it's been.
Thank you.
Did you have something to say, Linda?
Me? No, I
Okay.
was just thinking it, realizing it was 8:30. I didn't realize it was 8:30.
Well, I apologize for last week, and I'll try to look for a better system so that at least you will know about 4 minutes after the hour. Where's Rick?
Hey, let me say one thing.
Yeah.
You know, letting people know the show is canceled is one thing, but my concern is your health.
Of course.
And we all love you, and you will be in, I'm sure, all of our prayers right now. And
Yep.
keep us
Yeah.
updated on, and if there's anything we can do, let us know.
Yep.
just be a thank you all so much, and
Yes.
just keep coming back once a week, and that's my reverence.
I look forward to this all week long.
Well, thank you
Me
very
too.
much, Susan.
Me
I'm so
too.
glad.
Me
And
three.
we got a whole continent over there in England and in Australia. So you can drag them along, will you?
Yes.
No, I'm very pleased.
You are loved, Rick. You are loved.
Yes.
Thank you very much, everybody. I love you too. And we're all happy with each other, you know, it's a really good group.
It's very special. I'm
Yes.
serious. I mean, you all know.
Yes.
And I sound cheesy, but it's true. You
It's not
don't,
it's not cheesy.
it's,
Hey,
you don't,
everybody wants this.
It's Neptune.
it is
Yeah, there's a good description.
very
Yep.
much so.
Yeah, it's a
Very
very
much.
Neptune group. And I don't know what the rest of the world is doing without it, but
Mm.
we'll just put this on the internet tonight and I'll see you next week, everybody.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank
Y'all
you.
be safe.
Bye,
Bye.
Turn the
everybody.
show,
Love you. Thank you, Rick.
turn
Thanks.
the show,
Bye.
Bye,
turn the,
Renate.
turn
Please
the show
rest.
off first.
Get some rest, Rick.